So, if you've been following over the last couple of weeks, one of the many projects that I've been working on is a platform to scrape the Solana blockchain and detect fraud. And it can kind of be a huge undertaking to kind of comprehend and define what fraud means in this context. Some people will insist that certain ways of releasing tokens or interacting with the blockchain is not fraudulent, it's just quote unquote how the game is played. Um, I would disagree, and I would think that anything that you do to kind of obfuscate what it is you're doing and how you're doing it in order to make people not realize what game you're playing and what game is being played, that's fraudulent behavior. A lot of people will insist that, they're just playing the game. They're doing crypto the way that crypto is done, and that, it's a boys club and everybody's just kind of doing the same thing, and you either do fraud or you have fraud done to you, etc., etc. I'm not going to really play into that game. I'm instead going to talk about the ways that people can be deceitful. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just kind of the stuff that I have noticed over the last couple of months of studying fraud and trying to detect it in an automated way. This is not going to be a showcase of Loki, the platform that I'm building to detect this fraud. This is going to be much higher level, and Loki isn't quite ready for demo yet. So let's dive in. Now, there are some obvious things that people do. So, we can go ahead and get those more or less out of the way. One, obvious insider trading. Now, this is very common. This is incredibly common. This probably makes up, in terms of the GDP, so to speak, or in terms of the raw volume of data that, or the raw volume of money that occurs fraudulently on the blockchain, this probably takes up 40 to 60% of it, at least close to a majority of it. And typically all this is somebody gets a group of quote unquote investors together and says, hey, I'm launching a coin. Here are the tokenomics, which is kind of here is how all of the funds are going to be allocated, how they're going to be unlocked, etc. And here is a vesting schedule where you can sell your coins out. There may also be no vesting schedule, and as soon as you're given the coins and as soon as everything goes live, you can just go ahead and sell. So the tokenomics part is obviously a point of contention, but they give you all of the stats and they say, give me money. I will go ahead and convert those tokens over. Here's the the contract address. You can go ahead and buy the tokens early at a very, very cheap discount, like this very minuscule amount. And then on this day, we're going to launch to the public, and whatever happens, happens. This group of insiders, those are the people who get first dibs to the coin that's being released. Obviously, those people have a massive advantage over the average person. They are buying the coin before all of the retail traders and all of the bots and all of that start jumping in, trying to buy the coin as well. So coin goes live. All of the people on Pump Fun and on Twitter and on Twitch and Kick and everything else start pumping up the value, and then immediately, usually, the insiders start selling because they're going to immediately take profit. So this is a very, very basic insider trading. This happens with normal stocks as well. So this trading can happen just on launch. That's the most typical way. And it can also happen on news. So the news, it would depend. So for example, Trump coin had, a huge thing going on. That huge thing was the president was going to release this coin. All of the people, were going to get access to it. And he might tell them, hey, I've got scheduled tweets or Truth Social posts going out on this, and this day. Okay. So now that they know that Trump is going to make Truth Social posts and Twitter posts about the coin, they can plan on selling a ton after the value shoots up, because a bunch of people are going to buy in on it after they see the tweets. So that's, part of the news. The other part can be, maybe I know a certain coin is about to get hacked, or is, just had a bunch of money stolen from it. So I'm going to, try to figure out a way to basically play that game. There are lots of different ways this can happen. It can also be insider trading on a coin that is already lost, and you're in the Discord with a bunch of homies and you're like, hey, let's just pump this up real quick. That's kind of insider trading. It's more of a pump and dump, but I guess those two things aren't like mutually exclusive. That's just where you get a bunch of people to buy in. And all of those people are buying in a coordinated manner, and they are selling in a coordinated manner. That is, normal pump and dump stuff. Again, some of this stuff also happens on stocks, but we don't talk about it that way. So we've got obvious insider trading. That is probably 40 to 60% of like the total volume of fraudulent stuff that goes on. We also have automated stuff. Now, here's where I've got to post a disclaimer. Part of Loki is that I'm building trade automation off of it. So copy trading, some stuff that's a little bit more complex that I've been working on, but I am building this into an automated bot. It's difficult to call this fraudulent as much as it is the blockchain is transparent. It allows anybody to trade on it. The fastest people are going to have an edge, and there's very little trading activity that's going to be faster than a lot of these automated solutions. Now, in my opinion, there's a good way to do this and a bad way to do this, and all of it is kind of on a spectrum. I am going to try my best to ensure that there are safeguards in my system that ensure that the primary traffic that it's sending is based on volume, it's based on copy trading, it's based on stuff like that, instead of the sketchier ways, which is like MEV bots. And what MEV bots are, let's talk about that for a second. MEV bots are essentially programs that will look for incoming transactions into the blockchain that have not yet been finalized. And these get priority fees and gas fees depending on, what exchange you're using. And what MEVBots will try to do is they will up their gas fee or their, priority fee and try to front run your trade, because a trade with a higher priority is going to be executed faster than the other trade is. And then they're going to drive up the price a little bit. Then your trade is going to drive up the price a little bit. And then they're going to immediately cash out, which is basically your profit is going to come from the little price bump that comes from somebody else's trade. It's scummy. People really hate stuff like this because, it's just kind of like, it's more or less an exploit on the way priority fees are used. It sucks, but that's one of the things that I'm going to, be avoiding, is making sure that I'm not doing any of this MEV scanning or MEV scamming stuff. There's also snipers. Snipers, I don't view as like inherently like, it's hard to say that this is like necessarily a bad thing. What snipers do is they aim to be like the first transaction on a coin or on a contact address. And that in and of itself isn't necessarily bad. If you have some kind of algorithm that's scanning for new coins, and based on whatever it finds, it's going to immediately buy into a coin just as fast as possible, I don't see that as like that bad of a thing. But that is, a very, very large part of the automated traffic is snipers who are buying into a coin super early and then selling, fairly quickly. A lot of these snipers don't stay in longer than a couple of seconds. But again, the automated stuff, it's really difficult to call that like necessarily deceitful. Now, there are deceitful ways to do it. We can talk about bundling. What bundling is, now this is much more like cut and dry deceitful, in my opinion. What bundlers are they are programs that spin up several different wallets, like 10 to 15 wallets sometimes. And they deposit a small amount of Solana in each of these wallets. And then all of these wallets will immediately buy into a coin separately. Now, to understand why they do this and why it's deceitful, you kind of have to understand like the trading meta, which is kind of silly. Basically, what people are looking for whenever they're about to buy into a coin is they are looking for how distributed is the volume on this coin or the holders on this coin. If you have one person who is the developer who's holding like 80% of the supply of a token, that's not a very stable token, because that person could just immediately rug you any chance they get. As soon as the price goes up, they're going to take profit and jump out, and you're going to lose everything. What these bundlers do is, if I'm a singular individual and I want to buy a large volume of the supply of a token, instead of buying from one wallet, I'm going to buy from 15 wallets, because now it looks like there are 15 different holders of this token. This is something that can be detected because a lot of these bundlers are really simple, and you'll see like 15 transactions going through at the exact same time for the exact same amount. That's a bundler because, normal people don't transact that way. So they're fairly easy to detect. There's actually like some detection mechanisms in most trading platforms. But yeah, that to me is like more outright deceitful than just, trying to get your transaction through really, really fast like snipers do. Bundlers are like you're outright trying to hide the fact that, you're buying into this token and that this token is held by, fewer people. So you've got automated stuff, you've got obvious insider trading. Those are like kind of the big ones. You've also got folks who are just, the trench players who, are sitting there in front of their screen pressing refresh over and over again looking for new coins. They're typically like a little less deceitful as much as they are, a lot of times they're in Discord with all of their homies and they're copy trading their homies, and that it's not deceitful, but like you can kind of quickly cross over into the realm of a pump and dump if like you're the top, 6 traders are all in your Discord. That's, you're kind of getting, a little bit close. But then we've got just like normal pump and dumps. These are the people on Reddit or on Twitter. Twitter's the most common one, who will tweet out a contact address. Let's see. Twitter and Reddit and Discord. And they'll send out a CA, wait for buys, dump. So, these are the people who are just blatantly doing pump and dumps. A lot of this is enabled by social media, which sucks. You see it a lot on Twitter. If you know what you're looking for, you can find it pretty quickly. These people know that other people will jump in on any CA that they tweet out. So they will immediately, tweet out a CA after they've already bought a ton of volume, and then they will dump as soon as enough people jump in on it. These people will often be the ones who launch coins, which immediately gives them a lot of the supply, but it's not always the people who launch the coins. A lot of times it's just people who are taking advantage of, a big meme or something like that. So those are like the top 3. There are tons of other ways that are like more advanced that honestly I haven't discovered or haven't looked into enough, for people to do fraud. So this isn't like the only ways, but it is kind of some of the more common ways to do, fraudulent stuff on Solana. I will be looking into this more, and we'll probably do like a couple of follow-up videos on this. And I'll also be demoing Loki at least fairly soon. I'm hoping for like mid next month is the goal. So that's about it. Take it easy. Peace.